Welcome, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Man, it's been a couple of days since I came through with some straight game. It's getting kind of out of hand, man. You know, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Now that Jim Cassie, Jewel King, the critic, has returned. B. Dot from North Carolina. What's happening? Let's get into it, man. We see now and understand from the disingenuous apology from Sean P. Diddy Combs that people weren't going for it. I come to understand why he didn't now say Cassie's name, because in the settlement that they signed, usually that's how it usually works. You can't mention the one person's name and the other person can't mention it. The Kobe Bryant settlement was like that too. When Kobe Bryant caught the situation in Colorado, the settlement that he signed with the young lady said that she couldn't mention his name ever in life again. Period. Point blank. And I believe that was the same thing. Excuse me, for the Diddy and Cassie situation. But more importantly than that, we have a new lawsuit. Crystal McKinney is her name, right? Young lady by the name of Crystal McKinney. And the crazy part about this is we all understood with the Cassie situation. Once we seen the video, Puffy didn't. Should I say Sean Combs? Sean Combs. I got it so with the Puffy thing, right? Sean Combs didn't have to mention Cassie's name. It really didn't matter at that particular point, based on the fact that he had lied. He had lied. And like I said, he had lied to a lot of his friends, people that believed in him, people that wanted to support him at that particular time. Sean Combs had lied to them. And when it came down to who you believed, because there were a lot of people even talking about, well, Cassie was after a money grab and so on and so forth. And when that tape came out, it was beyond any shadow of a doubt what was really going on in the relationship. And then we hear, the situation involving with the new the other bodyguard, not Gene Deal, the other guy who was, I guess, working a little bit more in a little bit more recent years with Sean Combs, as far as being his bodyguard, talking about the situations that he witnessed and where Sean Combs would beat Cassie up. It was one situation he mentioned about being on Sunset Boulevard, and she was talking to her manager. He came out, he got mad, and started beating her up, and she went and hid behind the car and things like that. I understand the Cassie situation. Like I said before, I said that when he settled it, I'm like, yo, there's some merit to her case. 9 times out of 10, she's telling the truth. Then to find out he spent $50,000 buying the Intercontinental Hotel tape. He spent the $50,000 buying the tape. I don't think, and like I said, because we're not living in the times where, go get the videotape. The hotel still actually, I believe most of that stuff usually is saved on a hard drive, and they might have made a tape of what that was at that particular times, because there's so much information on the tape that he paid, to get the tape from them. It's a possibility they could have got it at his house, but I doubt it. I doubt that very seriously. I think they went back to the Intercontinental. They had it. They had it on file. They gave it to the investigators once they read Cassie's lawsuit. But now we have another lawsuit involving a white young lady, a Caucasian young lady, if you will, right? If we thought that with the situation with Cassie that P. Diddy was done, Sean Combs was done, then he's absolutely positively done now. He has now crossed the invisible line, if you will, in dealing with a Caucasian woman from that perspective. And she's this lawsuit in particular, she's filing it under the New York State Victims Act, if you will, in which they basically now take away the statute of limitations. So the statute of limitations does not apply in this situation in which this young lady is filing this case against Sean Combs. But what's alarming to me is they made accusations which tell me it's kind of a money grab, man. Like I said, I'm one to keep it 100, man. I can't, because we seen the video with Cassie. Now it's like, if a female spent any time in the room with you, basically they're saying that they were smoking smoking some weed or whatever, and the weed supposedly had something in it. Basically it says in the filing, she got there, she found that they were passing around a bottle of Hennessy and joints. After the plaintiff sat down, one of Sean Combs' associate asked her, "Do you smoke weed?" To which she reported, "Yes." Combs' associate replied, "You never had no weed like this before." And I don't think that he was certain that there was something laced in the weed. I'm just thinking that he probably think it was some extra strong, powerful, right? Plaintiff later came to understand that Combs had laced the joint with a narcotic other than with another intoxicating substance. Now, you got to be able to prove that, right? But now you don't, because like I said, with the Cassie situation, after Sean Combs lied in regards to that, his credibility is zero. Sean P. Diddy Combs has zero credibility at this particular point because he went out on such a long limb when he settled the Cassie situation. He was in the house dancing, posting things on Instagram, as if everything was cool, not knowing that the investigators went to get that tape, right? And so when they went to get that tape, he's not knowing. It came out of left field. They hit him with that tape. It came out of left field. And then now we understand that the agreement that he signed with Cassie didn't allow him to say her name or her to say his name, I would say, ever again in life, at least publicly, if you will. Yeah, I understand that, Brownsville, Brooklyn, but what I'm talking about is when somebody, you say you were in the room, like this young lady saying she was in the room, they were smoking weed, Combs passed, then she said, the plaintiff later came to understand that Combs had laced the joint. Now, Combs had laced the joint, so Puffy now rolling joints and lacing them. This is what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that it didn't happen what they said, but she said plaintiff later came to understand that Combs had laced the joint with a narcotic other intoxicating substance, right? Combs passed her the joint and plaintiff took a hit which felt very powerful. Now, at the particular time, that means everybody's in there and they're doing the same thing. But what I'm trying to understand is, she's basically saying Combs had laced the joint. She didn't see him put nothing in there. These are merely accusations. I can tell the way that the lawsuit is written that it's just, you jump on the bandwagon, I did this and it happened some years ago. And the crazy part about this situation is now under this New York statute, you can reach as far as back as you want to. It don't matter when could have happened in 1911. You know what I mean? And they can reach back as far as they want to, right? And so we understand, everybody clearly understands that, the situation involving with Cassie, we seen that on tape. but they had a long-standing relationship. Not to say that that wouldn't happen to any other woman that came into his midst, but this is not something that's being alleged. There was no violence being alleged. This is basically some kind of sexual assault or something like that from that perspective with this new lawsuit. And so, with her basically saying that, and then it said Cone passed her the joint and plaintiff took a hit, which felt very powerful. Although plaintiff insisted that she had had enough. After that, Combs pressured her uh, to imbibe more alcohol and marijuana by telling her that she was acting uptight. Right? That's basically what he said. He said that, and she wasn't, I guess, going along doing what they wanted her to do from that perspective, right? And so, but my thing is now that he lied about the Cassie situation, it's a open, he's an open target now for any kind of lawsuit for anybody that wants to come up and say anything, you know? Right. But like I said, Streets is watching. None of that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the tapes went in the bag. We don't know any of that. All we know is what we saw, and that's basically all we can go on. We can go on the fact that, yo, you know what? He beat the hell out that girl, and under no circumstances did she deserve that, and she wasn't even fighting back. And the fact that he didn't even care that cameras were there or conscious that cameras were even picking it up is even worse than that, right? So a lot of times, in dealing with situations like that, you know, a man is given the benefit of the doubt, if you will. But in this situation, in which people were until they seen the actual tape. Okay, now, like they say, you got all of these other cases, the Little Rod case, now if, they choose to fight it, now you go to court after seeing the jury's been basically tainted now, because after seeing that Cassie tape, and he said that he didn't do it, you a lawyer can take that as evidence and put that in the court and say, hey, look, you know, up until this date right here, Mr. Combs had been denying it adamantly on his Instagram, on his, and posting these pictures and family pictures, trying to, gain back what little bit of credibility that he had at that particular time after just reading the Cassie lawsuit. So, but then now, he was putting, the truth gonna come out. He not knowing that they got the video. And I don't think they got it from him. I think they got it from the hotel after reading her filing and doing the investigation. Okay, and then all of a sudden, he's after all of these things and smiling, and he's in Miami. They got him, caught him on camera. He looked like he was smoking weed or something like that, smoking a cigar, whatever he was smoking, and everything, looking good. He thinks he's in the clear. You know what? I'm good. I paid off. I bought the tape, and they don't really have nothing. Okay, cool. Now here comes the tape. Blindside. Boom. After he sat there with his publicists and his people, and they put out these publicity statements and things like that, his credibility's gone. He's not to be believed. Period. So now you take the Little Rod situation, you take this Crystal McKinney situation, you take all of these other situations that are probably going to come out of the woodwork. Hey, June, what's happening? You take all of these other situations that now come out the woodwork, and now if you go in front of a jury, the jury's been tainted. You might have 3 or 4 people, when they do jury selection, they try to find people who really don't know who Sean Combs is from that perspective. But at the end of the day, the jury's tainted. The other people on the jury say, you know what? I seen that tape, and he did her pretty bad, And sometimes it's not even about the crime that you being charged for at that particular time. But guess what? It's about your previous crime, right? Or your prior behavior, or you become associated with the behavior that you've been displaying and people have seen you. Up until that point, his credibility was good. Now it's done. So basically, you know, with this new lawsuit, this is a lawsuit that reaches back from a situation where he met this young lady and invited her to the studio, and now it ain't even they link. The weed was laced. It wasn't even they didn't put nothing in the drinks. The weed was laced. You know what I mean? But everybody else smoking it. So what was it laced with? Like I said, you understand what I'm saying? So she said, Combs passed me the marijuana. I hit it and it was powerful, right? And so when she hit it and it was powerful, then everybody else is smoking that powerful weed too, if you will, right? So with that being said, now you have a situation where, and she's a white girl. You know what I mean? So if you thought, and we ain't even got to see her being hit from that perspective, it's like the taking the bite from the fruit of the forbidden tree, if you will, from that perspective. And basically, the wording in the lawsuit is, he ruined me, and all of these other things. So it really isn't looking good at all. It really isn't looking good at all. Yeah, the video tell it all, Mr. Block Ice. But like I said, once again, um, when we understand, and you understand the relationship that Sean Combs had with Cassie. It was a long-standing relationship. When she was 19 years old, years. It was a relationship, you know what I mean? Publicly, out, seen together, and all of those things. But this here lawsuit right here, along with the other lawsuits from the Jane Doe, as well as the other young lady who said that Puffy made an alleged revenge porn tape, if you will, of her. Uh, all of those other lawsuits. Now they are now given a little bit more credibility than they would have been before. After Sean Combs lied about the situation with Cassie. The funny part was, um, even after that, even after the situation, which I find to be disingenuous, if you will, when the situation was signed with Cassie, I believe that Sean Combs did mention her name. I wish everybody loved Cassie Love and whatever. So I don't know how now. I guess after make a statement and say her name, but then now, okay, cool. After the ink has dried on the settlement, then you can't say her name no more. So when he did the apology, I'm taking it that was in effect at that particular time, right? But it doesn't even really matter at this particular point because the damage is done, and the damage is done so bad that you can put the statement up just like 50 Cent did on his Instagram. You can put that statement up that he put out on Instagram, and then you can couple that with the statement that he made with the false or the attempt at a fake apology, if you will, from that perspective, you know? And so, yeah, that's where we are. So now we got this McKinney lawsuit. And the young lady's basically saying, hey, you know what? I was in the studio with P. Diddy and them. They had this powerful weed. It was laced. He took me in the bathroom. He made me form oral sex on him. You know, I woke up later in a cab, and and that was the gist of it. So now people can come out and they can basically say anything now. They can say anything, like one part from the one part. Look, listen, said, this is crazy, and I want you to understand this. It says, upon information and belief, P. Diddy has a long history of committing physical and sexual violence against women and men, as documented and publicly available lawsuits and extensive media coverage. What's wrong with that statement, right? P. Diddy hasn't been charged with anything. You see what I'm saying? See how people tend to, well, he a long history of committing physical and sexual violence. Now, we've seen the Cassie tape. We know what that, so to be able to mention that tape would be responsible from that perspective, right? You know, um, and so you can tell that this lawsuit was actually completed before the Cassie tape came out, because it says on November 16th, 2023, Cassie Ventura, an artist signed on to Bad Boy Records, filed a suit in the United States District Court of the Southern District of New York, alleging that Combs provided her with copious amounts of drugs before sexually assaulting her. Right? You can tell that this lawsuit was actually prepared uh, before that Cassie tape came out, right? So, and she's talking about that. That's the thing I find most egregious about most of what's been going on, is the fact that Cassie said that Sean Combs raped her. Yeah, that part right there. And then you go back and you read her filing. Then you go, if you read that and then you see the video, you like, oh wow, he did it. He did it. He actually, yeah, not only was she petrified, as you can see, like I said, she came out there, she ain't had no socks on, man. And for anybody trying to say that, oh, there was the tapes was in that bag and so on and so forth, that didn't even matter at the end of the day. Because like I said, he could have, if that was the case, Sean Combs could have grabbed the bag out of her hand. He didn't have to hit her. He could have grabbed the bag out of her hand and went back to the room and let her go. So that argument right there falls flat on its face. And then there's another lawsuit, basically, as you see, November 16th, 2023, there was another lawsuit filed on November 23rd, 2023 by Joy Dickerson Neal. And that was the young lady who said that Sean P. Diddy Combs had the revenge sex tape, if you will. Yeah. Well, the statute of limitations, number one, on the tape, on the any crime that he committed, as far as it's not being whether he could be locked up for that. My thing is, at that particular time, um, that would be something that Cassie would have to answer, was why she didn't report it to the police, that he had beat her up like that, from that perspective. You know what I mean? And that's probably a complicated situation when you deal with the bigger picture of what that is. Probably fear. We can actually see, why she wouldn't do that. You understand what I'm saying? Anybody else, like I said, the little Rod situation, he had said that he was drugged once in February, right, of 2023, but then he stayed around only to be drugged again in July. You know, as a male, I would think it's a little bit different. You know what I mean? From that perspective, that you would like to think that it is. You can't. Everybody's not classified. You can't couple people all into one group and say, hey, this good for you, this good for you, this good for you. It should be good for everybody from that perspective. But we're talking about Cassie, who had a long-standing relationship with Sean Combs, versus this situation with the young lady Crystal McKinney, who just met him like one time, got invited to the studio. She says she smoked some weed or whatever, and then all of a sudden, this has turned into a lawsuit. Some odd years later, if you will, and we still don't really understand the whole what really went on, but we do now understand that it's more believable or plausible, right, than not, right? So she also said, the plaintiff says, after she smoked the weed, she was floating. Plaintiff felt as if she was floating. Seeing plaintiff was very intoxicated, Combs demanded that plaintiff allow him follow him, and he physically led plaintiff to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Combs forced himself on the plaintiff and began kissing her without her consent. Right? Yeah. But they said they wasn't right. They wrong about the song. More money, more problems. So she said Sean Combs took her, led her to the bathroom, began kissing her without her consent. Um, then in the bathroom, Combs forced himself on the plaintiff and began kissing her without her consent. Combs then shoved her head down to his crotch before commanding her and said, "Suck it, if you will." Wow. Wow. Then basically say plaintiff, she basically saying that she had refused, but Combs, uh, uh, Sean Combs, notice they not saying P. Diddy, right? She had she had refused to do it to give him fellatio at the time he had asked her, right? And then it says in the bathroom, Combs forced himself on the plaintiff, kissing her without her consent, basically forcing her head down to his crotch area, saying "suck it," and she basically saying nah, she refused at first, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. So now it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. Yeah, I seen that, Tone. I appreciate that. Everybody who ain't got my greatest hits album, go check it out. And speaking on that, like I said, somebody want that's probably somebody from over there from Reggie, than what they talking about. Him talking about me. The music's so good, he had to talk about it. That's why he talked about it. But right now we're talking about the P Diddy situation, right? I'm gonna get to that later because I got some breaking information in regards to dealing with that situation also. But hey, if you haven't got my greatest hits album, yeah, absolutely. Just cause the big boys don't own it, don't mean it ain't popping, man. That's the sad part about us. We believe that if somebody else own our music, they can put a title on it and what it is and what it isn't. Absolutely. My music is award winning. Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, uh, been on television shows, commercials, movies, and all of that. And I've never had a major record deal in my life. And I still get the royalties from that. How many artists have done that? Period. Bottom line. So, like I said, but more importantly, back to this situation, the young lady, Crystal McKinney, said Combs then shoved her head down to his crotch before commanding her to suck it. Plaintiff refused, but Combs pushed her head down into his phallus and forced her to perform oral sex on him. Another one of those situations where somebody's being forced to do something or alleged to be forced to be doing something that she didn't allege. My thing is this, and I like I said, and I always ask the question is why didn't she file this a long time ago? You know what I mean? And like I said, a person can wait as long as they want to. The Cassie situation, like I said, once again, it's a piggyback move, if you will, right? I respect if the situation came out, I respect that. Hey, you came out, but like now it's like they're just reaching back, and it's like, okay, yeah, this happened, and that's dangerous. Like I said, most people want to be able to say, okay, yeah, it's Puffy. Yeah, we seen the Cassie tape, and now they want to paint it with a broad brush. Like I said, but you, me, and everybody else deserves a fair shot at any kind of justice in dealing with that situation, you know. But here's a situation where the young lady basically said, "Yeah, we were in the studio. He took me in the bathroom. I'm high and blah, 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 and you know, he told me to give him fellatio. I refused. Then he forced me to do it. At that particular time when she left the studio, she said later on she woke up in a cab or something like that, as if they took her out of the studio. And this is like I said, the little blanks in the area as they took her out the studio and put her in the cab, or she don't remember walking to the studio. I mean, from the studio when she said she was at the studio. You don't remember walking from the studio to the cab. I woke up in the cab and I just didn't remember where I was or what happened and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's crazy. We it's crazy, man. So we don't understand what it is, why it is, you know. All we know now is here's another lawsuit. Here's another lawsuit. But like I said, you know, for everything that we understand this to be, I don't know. I just don't know no more. And you know, for the women who really like for the women like Cassie, who really have been through a turbulent time, you know, dealing with situations like, you know, like she dealt with sexual assault like that, and then people to come back to now only to try to come back and piggyback off of your real life trauma to try to grab a bag. It's so disingenuous. You know what I mean? Because like I said, from when you know you try to read through in between the lines, if you will, you know, trying to read in between the lines and see what the person is not saying, not seeing what they're actually saying, but seeing what they're not saying. And a lot of times it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like I said, yeah, the Cassie tape here, you know, and then the young lady, she wants a jury trial, right? So she's asking for a jury trial, not a judge trial. You know, juries are more sympathetic. Juries, you can cry in front of the jury. It's a lot of things that can happen in dealing with a jury that can't happen in dealing with a judge. And a judge, who's been, practicing law for a long time, or residing over cases, if you will, he can look at it differently and be like, you know what? We're not looking at the Cassie situation. Yeah, I seen the video. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But this here is what we're doing here today. We're dealing with what happened with Miss McKinney right now, And so, you know, it's a money grab. And so I'm wondering, how much is this now, like I said, after so many years of nothing coming up, oh yeah, well, I did that, but then, this recollection of events that really didn't happen like it happened, and it was all in good and everybody was cool, and she was happy to be in the dude's presence of that statue and so on and so forth, from that perspective. And it's happened to a lot of people, man. I mean, like I said, I'm not speaking to ask to anybody's innocence or guilt, but like I said, just the timing of it and then actually putting, the Cassie situation and the other situations in the lawsuit, you know, it's like to bolster credibility, for the claim that she's making. Right. Fatima, that's what I was saying, Fatima. When you deal with that, we talking about people who had long-standing relationships. You know what I mean? And who, because like I said, if it was anything other than that, excuse me, if it was anything other than that, dealing with anybody else, then we would have heard about that. Somebody being that way and like you just dealing with them for the first night and they being violent towards you like that, you know, there's usually gonna be something said like, hold on, he just beat me up for nothing, or he was just violent to me for nothing. Like I said, but the bodyguard spoke about the situation where Kim and Puffy had a fight in back of the car, um, coming from an award show at one time, and she was like, Kim would fight back. You know what I mean? And it's like, as crazy as it seems, people stay in relationships like that. Some people like that volatile, those situations, that and the crazy part is when people ask why, sometimes it's out of fear. Um, sometimes it's out of uh confusion, sometimes it's out of need, sometimes it's out of you just don't really know, but we can see that with the Cassie tape, we could see it was kind of out of fear. But now you have everybody coming out. This ain't the last lawsuit, trust me. This ain't the last lawsuit, you know? And so here we are again. And the only person that has to blame about this is Sean Combs, based on the fact that he lied about the Cassie situation. I mean, you had everybody from Slim Thug to, you know, um, my son, everybody out there basically saying, trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, saying, hey, you know what, innocent until proven guilty, innocent until proven guilty. And that Cassie tape just smashed all of that, smashed it out, right? And then on top of that, to come with an apology and then saying in an apology, you know, I'm not asking for forgiveness. Like, what kind of apology is that? I mean, wouldn't a person ask you to give them, for their bad behavior or the mistakes that they've made from that perspective? But Sean Combs wasn't asking for forgiveness. So my thing was, well, who was he apologizing to? That wasn't really an apology then. If you're not asking for forgiveness, you know, um, trying to justify it and apologizing is another thing, But like you said, but yeah, they got the new lawsuit, man. They got the new lawsuit. The weed was laced this time. The weed was laced, and it was too powerful. And like I said, it led to a situation in where Puffy then took her to the bathroom and allegedly forced himself on her, or forced her to do something that was unbecoming from that perspective. And now we find ourselves witness this situation again. Well, yeah, like I said, it doesn't seem like he has no like I said, I guess that's just who he's become over the years. Who he's become over the years. But like I said, what everybody's really not paying attention to, like I said, was is the Keefe D situation, man. Yeah. That's gonna be something that's gonna shake things up for real, for real. I believe that Keefe D situation and dealing with the murder of Tupac Shakur is a little bit more plausible now. People kind of really see what it is if they've gone back over the history of what that case was or what that situation was at that particular time. You got to ask yourself, hey, you know, um, and this is the thing. A lot of people had made this suggestion because remember when Greg Cady and them they initially was investigating the situation, they were investigating Biggie's murder, right? Right. So now Keefe D has said that he was at a celebrity basketball game early in that evening before uh, the Peterson Automotive Museum, the Vibe party where Biggie got shot at, right? So, and being at that celebrity basketball game, right? Seeing Puffy there, and then going to the Peterson later on, what was the conversation? Because you got to only think like, well, what was the conversation? Because Keefe D said he never got paid, right? So now, and this is months after the Tupac situation. This is all basically a whole year. Think about this, man. You know, you're talking about September 7th, died on the 13th, right? Biggie gets shot the next year uh, on March 9th, right? And so when you think about that, you say, okay, well, and most people have been saying this, you know, that that Biggie might have been killed for the fact that they weren't paid, that KVD wasn't paid. That's why they were looking into that situation involving him being involved with that. So when you put all of those together, and then you think about what KVD told the investigators, it's yeah, this is gonna get it's gonna get ugly, man. It's gonna get real ugly. That's the crazy part about it. I don't think a lot of people paying attention to that. It's Jay. What's up? It's Jay on play. Well, yeah, he has to go to LA. That part right there, I don't think it was a setup from Puffy's part. I mean, from Sean Combs' part, but I just think like when you everything that happened, all of the mistakes, um, the oversights, all of those things that happened when they were actually talking to KPD. At first, they were talking about the Biggie situation. What's up, JD? Lil Dex. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. But this is the argument, and then you got other people. You know, you heard Reggie Wright talking about, yeah, if he had something to do with the Biggie situation, y'all should be happy because it would have been for Tupac. Yeah, yeah. Anybody speaking like that about a situation like that didn't have nothing to do with it. They're basically trying to impute themselves in the situation in regards to that. You know what I mean? You know, um, don't know, wasn't there to help Suge, wasn't there to help Pop, but all of a sudden now got all the information. speaking on things and got all the information now. It's totally uh disingenuous at best. Yeah, about 6 months, Leroy Miles. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's in 6 months, you hadn't got your money after saying that, yo, they called you after the situation happened in Vegas and say, hey, was that y'all? All of those things. So I think that, with these new lawsuits, and that's like, even if you put, that situation on trial, it's like, who do you believe? Like, this guy's a bad guy, you know what I mean? But the Cassie situation, even with this situation involving this new young lady, with this situation right here, whether it happened or it didn't happen, after that Cassie lawsuit, I mean, after that Cassie tape, it's more believable, it's more plausible now. And not only that, you go to court, you best believe they're gonna put on the evidence of the Instagram picture with him denying everything and basically saying that, "Hey, you know what? Nah, you know, I didn't do anything, and these people are only after money. These are money grabs and all of that." Nah, after the situation happened with Puffy, it's caused it's a Combs assault has caused plaintiff lifelong harm. She was with him one night, right? And they was in the hotel. I mean, in the studio, smoking weed and drinking Hennessy. She's basically saying that, you know what? Um, the situation he forced me to give him oral sex caused me lifelong harm. Basically, she said, following the assault, plaintiff's modeling opportunities quickly began to dwindle and then evaporated entirely. Huh? So now here's the claim for monetary damages, as if the situation, not to say did or didn't, the situation involving Sean Combs, allegedly her him forcing her to give her oil, give him oral sex, basically caused her to lose her modeling job. She said, following the assault, plaintiff's modeling opportunities quickly began to dwindle and then evaporated entirely. Upon information and belief, Combs had plaintiff blackballed in the industry and utilized his significant influence to impede plaintiff's career growth. So basically, she's saying that uh, Sean Combs basically had her blackballed after seeing it's crazy, right? And blackballs in quotes, no pun intended from that perspective, right? Um, Basically, she's saying plaintiff became severely depressed as she began to blame herself for the assault. You know, yeah. So man, it's done got out of hand, really. But like I said, the Cassie tape is so powerful that these other little lawsuits that have come into play, um, have not really even gotten spoken of or got the attention I think that they would hope to get from that perspective, if you will, right? No, I wouldn't say on play. I wouldn't say that either, because basically he's saying that remember Keefe Deep said that the FBI told him that Puffy gave the money to Von Zip. Remember? And so my question was, well, how did the FBI know that? Unless they had some tapes or something like that. Now everybody's saying that Puffy's a agent, for the CIA or government agent. I don't know if that's really true, from that perspective. But yeah, that's what they're saying. Um, the young lady said that her career evaporated entirely after the situation involving Puffy. Then it says, upon information and belief, Combs had plaintiff blackballed in the industry and utilized his significant influence to impede plaintiff's career growth. Plaintiff became severely depressed as she began to blame herself for the assault and for sabotaging her own career. Right? The assault led to plaintiff into a tailspin of anxiety and depression, if you will. And so, yeah, yep. This is what's going on now. This is the new lawsuit, y'all. So she got blackballed by Sean Combs. after he forced her to give him fellatio in the studio bathroom in New York, if you will, or wherever they were, if you will, from that perspective. Um, it said uh, plaintiffs, the assault led plaintiff into a tailspin of anxiety and depression in or about 2004. See, this is like how many years ago is that? 2004. It's 20 years ago, right? It's 20 some odd years ago. I mean, the recollection, the memory, do you even remember her? All of those things. Like, you remember it to be one way. She's saying it was another, right? She said in or about 2004, plaintiff attempted suicide and was hospitalized. Wow. I mean, like I said, once again, my question always is, why didn't she just um, why didn't she just go to the police? I mean, I think it would have been more plausible from that perspective, if you will. You know? Um, Basically, she said everywhere plaintiff looked, she was reminded of Combs' assault, as Combs was an inescapable presence in music, television, and film. In the ensuing years, plaintiff has also experienced alcohol and drug addiction, right? As she's basically saying that she experienced alcohol and drug addiction in relation to the assault that happened from Sean Combs. But she was smoking weed. So I mean, she affirmed, she agreed that she smoked weed when they asked her in the studio. So I mean, I don't know how you blame that on somebody. You know what I mean? But like I said, once again, if you don't put yourself in a place where you can be blamed for something like that, irresponsible like that, then you don't really have to worry about it. You know? She said, plaintiff basically said, um, she also experienced intimacy issues as she struggles to maintain emotional and sexual relationships with men based on due to this assault. Yeah. So she said she hasn't been able to find a boyfriend. She can't keep a boyfriend. Plaintiff was married from approximately 2006 to 2010. However, her marriage fell apart as she had a mental breakdown precipitated by memories of the assault. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. And so now she's basically saying that she was married. The young lady who filed the lawsuit, Crystal McKinney, filed a lawsuit against the newest lawsuit, basically saying she was married from 2006 to 2010. However, her marriage fell apart and she had a mental breakdown precipitated by the memories of the assault from Sean Combs, if you will. She said he blackballed her, got her blackballed out the business, and the whole 9 yards. I mean, I don't like I said, I can't I don't know why that would happen. I mean, if everything was cool that night, I don't know where that went wrong, right? It said Combs' assault has altered the trajectory of plaintiff's career, denying her a successful, lucrative career in the modeling and film industries, right? Now, that line right there got me. I'm like, okay, hold on. So basically, Combs' assault has altered the trajectory of plaintiff's career, denying her a successful, not guaranteed, and lucrative, not guaranteed, career in the modeling and film industries. I get it. I get it. I get it. So she was gonna be successful. She was gonna be the next Brooke Shields. She was gonna be the next uh, uh, Christy Turlington. She was going to be the next Cindy Crawford, but that night with P. Diddy altered her whole career. And now, it has led to this lawsuit, you know, um, and here we are. Here we are. Yeah, Puff was doing too much. Yeah, you're right about that. He was doing way too much. And like I said, for everything that we all thought about Sean Puffy Combs at this particular time, right? it's done. It's done. Now you know, like I said, when you deal with, you know, race and everything like that, as far as that, you know, you got, you know, this young lady who's Caucasian coming out saying that, hey, you know what, you know, he did me dirty, you know, after the Cassie tape, people believe her. They're gonna believe her. And if she goes to court and she's asking for a jury trial, 9 times out of 10, not saying 100%, but 9 times out of 10, she's gonna get what she's asking for. You know, um, yeah, and like, you know, and like I said, for any woman that's ever been taken advantage of or been done wrong in that way, you know, my heart goes out to you from that perspective. Like I said, as well as we all seen the tape with Cassie and feeling that, you know, what she had to endure, you know, from that perspective, you know. But like I said, once again, you know, you would never want anybody to make up an accusation based on your true pain and your suffering, you know, just to get a dollar. I heard some people in the in some of the chats, they was like, yeah, Puffy could beat me up for 30 million too. Like, you know what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, looking at the situation, you know, in reverse, if you will, but actually people who actually lived through the trauma, yeah, I don't think she anticipated getting any kind of money. She might have probably didn't even anticipate getting away with her life. You know what I mean? But like I said, people make, you know, um comments like that. That's what's crazy to me, you know, all for a buck. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. But I seen people making comments like that. And then you got like Charleston White. You know, Charleston White comes out and he says, "Oh yeah, some women like to be like that." And you know, and you know, beat a bitch ass and da 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 da. Right? Once again, we know Charleston White always comes out and actually tries to speak up against something, but I don't find that being far from the cuff, basically from him, when he basically saying he used to rape young bitches, you know, and all of this, that, and the other, and confessed to that on tape. You know what I mean? So I don't really understand, you know, certain things that certain people say about certain things. But like I say, you know, Charleston White always has to speak in the other direction. If you speak in left and everything is left, the truth and the facts and everything are left, Charleston White gonna come out and speak right. Yeah, that's just what he gonna do. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's yeah. Marlon Morris, yeah, he recently spoke out about. I was like, wow, you know, and you know, a lot of time the ignorant shit really gets the you know, they say the what's it to the squeakiest wheel gets the grease. You know what I mean? That's a lot of times what Charleston White does. He does the squeaky wheel thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of people gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, and get that bullshit out there, and it just makes us look bad. You know, you're talking about for the culture when you deal with that situation, when you deal with the culture as far as like, you know, like, yeah, Charleston White telling the truth and blah 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 and all of that. But like I said, and speaking on a situation like Cassie, you know, you talking about an individual situation where you ain't really had nothing to do with that. That wasn't your situation. And if that's your situation, hey, and your woman like to be beat up and beat on and black eyes and all of that stuff, and you know, she said, "Daddy, I love you." After that, I like when you hit me like that. Yeah, that your situation. But like I said, in regards to the Cassie situation, you know, Charleston White came out and it was like, what? Yeah, yeah. Well, Gregory, in the case involving this case right here, yeah, this was what 20 years ago, 19 years ago. The accusation and involving the young lady that's now basically coming with these accusations against Sean Combs. Like I said, do I believe that it happened? Most likely. Do I believe that it was anything nefarious? I don't know. But hey, like I said, the fact that we seen that tape. The fact that Sean Combs lied to the public and to the world and put out these public statements when he had paid $50,000 for that Intercontinental tape, and he knew he paid the money, so that's why he didn't expect for it to come out. And he was trying to basically repair his image with the photos, and all of this, seemed to be happy and everything was, hunky dory until that tape came out. Right? Boom, the tape came out. And here's the immediate reaction after the tape came out. This is one of the lawsuits following the tape. And now it's believed to be true, usually, It's believed to be true, at least in the court of public opinion after that tape went around the world. You know? And and as belligerent as one could be or can act, it doesn't help. Arrogant, egotistical, that doesn't help him at this particular point. Because like I said, we still don't know what evidence that the Homeland Security got, when they went into the house, from that perspective. And yeah, it's crazy. No, like I said, people want to put a conspiracy theory on everything, man. Some stuff don't need a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Like I said, some stuff is what it is. The situation with Aaliyah, I believe the plane weighed too much, it had too much stuff in it, and that's simply that. May she rest in peace. But like I said, we're gonna see what happened with this lawsuit here, man. Yeah. Diddy got another one. Like he got, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4 lawsuits right now. Diddy's fighting 4 lawsuits, if you will. And that the Cassie tape has now made more all of the lawsuits much more credible now. So I know Tyrone Blackburn probably back there licking his chops. He like, yeah, you know what? This is good news for us. And so on and so forth. So, like I said, thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.